So Joann's filed for its second bankruptcy recently, and I personally think that's one of the 4 horsemen of my life. So I think the plan is to go to Joann's and find a fabric, and I'm hoping to make a dress that is inspired by 1943, which is when Joann started. I'm thinking maybe ruffles, and that's all I got so far. I guess I'll let the fabric speak to me in the store. I've been scrolling a lot on Pinterest and I found this dress. It's not really 1943 looking, however, I really like it with the fabric, so I'm gonna do that. I'm going to create my own pattern for it, so hopefully I give enough instructions so that if you wanted to make this as well, you could, but there's no promises since I'm also a beginner, so I'll try. Okay, I'm gonna explain this as quick as possible and easy as possible. This is your waist measurement, that's A. What is it called? Your hip measurement is B, and the distance between them is C. That's the measurement in between them. You're gonna take a piece of paper, draw a quarter of B and a quarter of A, connecting them by the distance of C. Then you're gonna draw a curved line between them so it gets this shape. You're gonna need to put this aside for later because you don't need it right now. Okay, then you're gonna find a block pattern online. It's super easy. Just enter your measurements and you can find a block pattern, and it's going to look like this. It's going to have 2 darts, that's those triangles, and you're going to put on a piece of paper. You're going to cut on that dotted line, so you'll have 2 pieces, and you see that dart is closing, so you tape that together and you'll get this. Like, you'll cut it out and then you'll tape it together and it'll look like that. Okay, now after that, oh, also the bottom of it, added those together, it should be a quarter of A, not equals A, but a quarter of A. Then going back, you're going to draw the actual neckline you want and cut it out. It should be that green shape. Then you're going to add it on to that blue shape that we wrote in the beginning of this. You can kind of see how when you put them on top of each other, one's going to be missing that triangle. You can see that in the yellow. You're going to have to add that back on. So that left piece, you're going to need 2. And on that right piece, you're going to need to cut that on the fold for the front part. And you're going to do the same thing for the back pieces, but that was a lot easier. It is basically the same thing. Okay, pins, my pattern pieces. I'm going to pin them together and try them on when they're pinned, because I'm probably not going to sew it together, let's be real. Okay, we're already off to a rocky start. Do I look like I have a double chin? Okay, trying this on. I know I have a t-shirt on underneath, but I think this is gonna work. I think what I'm gonna do is unpin it to the fabric that I'm actually gonna use. I think I'm gonna use these as a pattern and then sew both of them. Oh, let me show you the fabric. Okay. Joann's. This is the most expensive fabric I've ever gotten from Joann's. It was, I got 6 yards. It was 25% off, and I spent $90 on it. Kind of looks like a tablecloth. None of my business though, so. A lot of the past few years, and I'm talking to the camera, which is really weird. I'm gonna stop talking about my life to the camera. I'm putting something in it. Everybody see. Okay, classy. Now stop talking this. Okay. Look at this. Look at this fabric I'm gonna have over one. You know, my favorite coworker told me that I look like the kind of person that had more than one pair of scissors. And you know what? She wasn't wrong. I will say this. I watched Big last night. I watched there was about 30 minutes left. I paused it because, you know, I liked the movie up until a certain point, and I don't know if you know what that certain point is, but it's just like, they really need to add that, you know? Was it necessary? I don't think so. You know, if Joann just didn't close, that'd be great. I don't need that. I'm gonna pin this all together. It's the next day. So now, when we start on the skirt, this is our fabric. You can't see that at all. Got it. Like this, square fabric. I'm gonna take a lining fabric. This is my lining fabric. It's just a polyester broadcloth. And this is what it would be. I'm going to cut a semicircle and another semicircle just to get this area right here. And this length should be half of your waist. You only need 2 of them. We're going to measure the bottom of our top. Okay, 36. Half 36 is 18. So you want to make sure your fabric is on a fold, and I'm actually going to fold it so it's open. So for this skirt, you're going to fold your fabric hamburger style instead of hot dog style, and you're going to make a quarter circle that is half the width of your bodice, and out from that area you're going to draw the length of however long you want your skirt, and then you're going to connect them and cut it out. Dress, you can see that the mannequin has layers, so 1, 2, 3, 4. It gets progressively longer, maybe by is like 1.5, 1.5, 1.5 is my guess. Turn this upside down. This is the math problem. It is the length equals x plus y plus z plus alpha, with x being x, y being 1.5x, z equaling 1.5 of y, and alpha equaling 1.5 of z, which in total, that really shouldn't matter to you, because if you're just doing what I'm doing, you should have 8.125x equals the length of your skirt. Then you divide that by 8.125 and you get what x is, and x for me was about 2.7, and then you plug that back in for 1.5x, x, 2.25x, and 3.375x. So in total, or you can just wing it. So if you're not going to wing it, this is kind of how the math should go. The L stands for the length of how long you want your skirt from the bodice. And you're going to divide that by 8.125 because you add all the x's up together and you get 8.125x. And I eventually got x equals 2.7, but I actually didn't go with this. So pretending that we did, saying x is 2.7 or 3, you can see how that first layer of ruffle will lay on the top part of the skirt. So forth, the R2, the second ruffle, will lay right where that other one ends, and you can see how 3, 5, and 7, and 10, the ruffles increase in length. So therefore, each ruffle sits a little bit differently on the skirt. And we're going to actually mark that out on our skirt pattern here. This first layer is going to be 3 inches long, and it's going to end about right here, if this will work. First layer. Okay. The next layer I'm going to also do is going to be 7 inches long. So I'm drawing a 7-inch. So this next part is after you've drawn out where each of your ruffles is going to sit, so you can see R1, R2, R3, R4. You're going to actually measure those lengths, making sure that your skirt is still on the fold. So for that first R1, this should actually be the number that you measured out when you first cut it. So I had 36 was how long my bodice was, and since on the fold, that R1 length is actually 18. So since it is on the fold, I want to get that 36 number back, and that is how much fabric it would take just to cover that R1. And then what I want to do is how much would it take to get a dense ruffle. Then you would multiply that number by 3, so that 36 gets multiplied by 3, so that's 108, and that's how long I'm going to cut the first ruffle. So since my first ruffle is going to be 3 inches long, it's going to be 3 by 108 rectangle. I got all the fabric I need. I did mess up a little bit, but I fixed it. So I'm gonna take a break and make cheesecake.